To just give a brief about this program, so this program is called as My Story Session by TiE Kerala, and we have always been supported by Kerala Startup Mission. So what we try to do through this program is we try to bring in successful entrepreneurs or people who have actually crossed that early stage and who are in the fundraising stage, and people who have been successful in their very respective fields. We try to bring them on an interactive session with founders and entrepreneurs. So today we have a very interesting speaker. We have somebody who NASSCOM coined this term, the man who kickstarted India's driverless car revolution. He was the one who successfully drove the first fully autonomous car in 2013. Happy to introduce Dr. Roshy John. He along with his trusted Lieutenant Rajram Murthy, created RoshAI in 2021 in response to economic challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The founders identified critical inefficiencies in the automotive industry and leveraged their expertise to develop innovative AI-driven solutions. So today I'll hand over the mic to Dr. Roshy, where he'll be sharing his journey, first driverless car, and the future. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Sorry to make you wait. I can see some familiar faces in here. My colleague from Japan, he's from TCS Japan, I'm so happy to see him. I'm Roshy John. I'm the founder of RoshAI, a startup which focuses on driverless systems. So whenever I say this in some point in anywhere in some place, I used to get a sarcastic look from people saying that what are you going to do with the driverless technology right in India? So the whole thing, prior to starting the startup, I was the global head of robotics and cognitive systems at TCS. And when I crossed 41, I decided to quit my job in TCS and start my own startup, which focuses on driverless systems and allied areas based on AI and rest of the tech. So the whole thing about driverless car or a system which is required for driving by itself, and that too on a chaotic kind of a place, came to my mind back in 2009. So I was a senior scientist at LG India R&D Center in Bangalore, and it was back in 2009 when I had to visit my headquarters in South Korea, and I had to come back late at night, from a flight from South Korea. And he took the ride because he can earn around 150 rupees that night, because that's the bata, which they call it bata. That's what they get with every ride. And he wanted to take this risk, and then he wanted to take up the ride so that he can earn that much. So, so for some of us who know Bangalore, you have to go through a place called Hebbal Circle, and then through Hebbal Circle you have to go to Madiwala, where I was staying. So when I was about to reach the Madiwala Circle, the Hebbal Circle, he completely dozed off, and I could see that it was about to hit a divider in front of the ITC hotel. So I somehow woke him up, and then I made him sit in the rear seat and drive the vehicle by myself, wearing a seatbelt, and I put him in the rear seat. It was an Innova. And what I was realizing during that time, I had probably around 8 to 10 patents in my name. Some of them were international, some of them were US. So I was thinking I was inventing all these things for all the Western world, and where the people of my country is struggling to earn 150 rupees. And if that vehicle would have, if the vehicle hit that divider that night, this driver would have had a fatal injury, because he took the seatbelt and he buckled it behind the seat. So that's most of the taxi drivers would do, because it wouldn't in back then, not now. Now police would catch if they are not wearing the seatbelt, so at least they will hold it like this, So so what happened is, like, if there was an accident, this guy would have had a very bad injury. And I, sitting in the rear seat wearing the seatbelt, I have an insurance, and my company covers everything from my hospital expense, plus my salaries will also come. And this guy would be in a government hospital, and it was kind of a thought process, and I was thinking, like, what is the point of inventing so many things for Western countries, companies, and the people in my country are like dying. So that was a eye-opener, and I was thinking about, my PhD was in mobile robotics, and I was working mostly on home robotics or consumer robotics, where they build all these vacuum cleaners. The vacuum cleaners were fancy back then, and right now you can see vacuum cleaners being sold even in footpath. I've seen like vacuum cleaners being sold in the Info Park Expressway. I could see their small kiosk over there where they sell these robotic vacuum cleaners. Back then it was a luxury, it's a fancy item. So I had so many patents and I had so many innovations which are brought into it. So then I realized that there is a need for some sort of an innovation which is there. So I was thinking the next day when I reached my office, I was telling my team about, I had a small team. We were building what we call DFM, Design for Manufacturing, in India. We were designing the whole product. We were sending it to South Korea for prototyping, and then in different parts of the world where they have manufacturing centers where they manufacture the items. So I do the end-to-end integration and system design for the whole system. Then like the whole process was so exciting. The whole idea of developing a driverless car was so exciting. It was something which it was a dream which I couldn't, which was not making me sleep. So then I started. I told this about the whole thing to my team, and then we started realizing that Tata Nano was going to be the future. I mean, it was going to be a news over there during that time. In 2010, it was released, and then we were talking about the whole thing. And I never had enough money to run a research, because the only reference platform or reference point which I had back then was a Stanford Stanley, which was there in the DARPA Grand Challenge, which was an event held by, just a competition held by Defense Research in the US, where they have these driverless vehicles which are retrofitted with systems and sensors and all. That was the only reference which I had. And to me, it was like a big mobile robot. What we built is a small mobile robot. We built a big mobile robot. And we were extensively using simulators. So I had one of my team members who were also interested in it, who I told him to build a simulation system based on Tata Nano. This was a video, the screen capture of the video, which was taken back then in 2010, where we created a complete simulated Tata Nano, and we created a distributed system. So I channeled some of those money to buy a vehicle, buy a car, and buy a prototype, and then we started integrating all these sensors, systems, actuators, and I even imported some sensors from Germany, from a company called SICK. So I was importing it, and then I could see that it is held at the Bangalore Customs. And one day I got a call from Customs saying that you have to visit them. I would go there and visit them and to get this thing out of the Customs. And then this guy was asking me, why is it known as SICK? So I said the company name is SICK. Then then you have to give us a representation which says that this wouldn't make people sick. So he gave me a piece of paper. I had to, he didn't even give me a chair to sit. So I had to stand, and I had to bend down and write a big essay. I don't think that I would have written such a big essay for the last maybe 5-6 years or something. So then I got it out, and then we started putting it on the vehicle. We completely, reverse engineered a brand new Tata Nano, and then started attaching sensor systems, actuation systems, all those things. And what we have, there is not too many reference points, there is not too many reference research papers or ChatGPT back then to get the code or anything. We have to build everything grounds up. So I never had a plan to set up a startup or anything, but the whole process was so interesting. It was much better than the mundane jobs which we are doing on a 5-day week, but this is something exciting during the weekend which my friends would come and join, and we would build these kinds of drive-by-wire systems, which would take like a couple of hours to install it on any vehicle, and then make it drive by itself, and then take data and train the data. The concept of training the data was totally rudimentary back then, where we build all these computing systems made out of Intel, the 10-watt PCs which was available back then, And we had to put all these 12-volt batteries because lithium-ion batteries were not so available like what you see today. So we built a bank of 10-volt, 12-volt batteries. Then we connected it to the systems. And the manual transmission nanos were only available back then. So we had to make a system called automated manual transmission, which listens to the engine through a OBD port, which is an electronic port. And then thereby we will be, the system would do the computations to keep the engine live. As humans, it's much more easy for us because we are mostly into, like, we can listen to the sound of the engine when you drive. Like, some of us would drive manual transmission, right? How many of you drive manual transmission cars? Most of you, yeah. So we listen to the sound of the engine to keep the engine live. Like, you know when to apply the clutch and apply the brake and to keep the engine live, to keep the accelerator and all those things in tandem. We created the whole system using embedded system. We created the whole thing using DSPs, where we build the whole systems around so that the whole data nano would become where we built an automatic manual transmission. We had sensors. There is so much of data coming into the Intel PCs. Like, we had so much of data which have been coming, and then we started riding it on the InfoPark Expressway. The InfoPark Expressway is a 6-lane or a 4-lane road which goes to InfoPark. There are not too many companies as you see today. Like, and then Sundays were like totally free, and we created a complete Uberization app, a Windows app, where we can press the start point and press the and give the end point, and the vehicle would drive by itself with the basic sensory systems. It had sensors all around. It had cameras all around. These videos were taken back in 2013 with mobile cameras and all. So I had my team and my friends over there who would stand along with me in the sun, and then we will be doing the testing. So all these things were mostly on the programming side, not on the machine learning side as we see today. We are capturing data, we are training the data, we were seeing the data, we are analyzing the data, and then we were doing it. So every weekend, this is what we do. We take the vehicle to some random place. We would either go to Bangalore. I have a team in Bangalore where we would do the testing. So the whole process was evolving. We don't know like how to do this, what to do this, how to make use of this, how to exactly use this in such a way that it can be useful for a customer. We are just learning. But what we figured out from the whole research is that we have created a lot of spin-outs from the whole research. So as you see in India, the road markings were not so clear. The street markings were not so clear. Some of the street signs or the signal signs will be hanging on a wire, on a piece of wire. So we created so much of tech around it, so much of software code around it, which would later be used for applications such as document automation, where we can read a document with the modified algorithm which we use for reading the road data. So that becomes a specific business for me. That becomes a specific business case for me, which I was working in TCS, and we use the same learnings to build extensive document automation platforms based on this tech which we actually identified specifically driving on Indian roads. And we are evolving, and we were trying to understand, we were trying to see how we can actually build bigger, larger systems out of the whole thing. Because, like every day we have a challenge. Every day there were instances where we took this vehicle to Bangalore Expressway, and there were like 5 cameras which were powered by a USB system which is connected to a laptop. Just when we reached the expressway, what we found that the whole battery drained out because all the cameras were taking too much of current, and the laptop battery drained out. So we were facing problems after problems, and we were learning from all these problems on how to create robust systems. And this formed the foundation of like how to understand about failures. So sometimes we'll be doing these testing, and police would catch us. And we have all these cameras and systems and sensors sticking out, where I have like 4 of my programmers with their laptops open, and they would be asking a basic question. Seeing what they will ask, what are these systems? So those are cameras. And they have a fundamental question which is asking, are you trying to take pictures of ladies? When you're trying to optimize the whole software to be driven using a 12-volt battery and a 12-volt system. So this is the type of challenges which we face on a day-to-day basis when you try to run research which is on a tier 2 city, on a tier 2 country, when all the Western world is like so excited about driverless cars, when I presented some conferences, the people will ask me, you get drivers so cheap here. Why do you want to make driverless cars? When I was doing my PhD, I used to get even more further questions like, why are you doing a PhD on robotics? The human labor is so cheap. So my idea was to bring more high-tech jobs to India. India is specifically known for all these low-tech jobs, all these headhunting kind of headcount kind of job where they'll get a piece of the job and there is no innovation happening. There is no, like when I joined LG and when I was asking my general manager about patenting, he was asking, you're not supposed to do patents. You're supposed to do the job which is given to it. But I started doing my patents, and today I have around 40 plus patents, and in RoshAI itself we are filing around 56 patents in a single year. So the innovation and the patenting and making India an innovation hub is one of all of our responsibility. Like we can actually prove, we can prove that right now there is so much of drive for patents and all those things, which I did like 10, 15 years ago. To empower the team, to let the team understand how to do an innovation, how to do a patent, why we should be doing patenting, and all those kinds of questions would come, and all the team members would be asking, why should I do patent? I can do programming and I can do some electronic or some device, and I don't have to make it unique. But it is very important to protect your invention. Even today when I talk to investors, and they would be asking like, you are a company which is holding patents, what is the big deal? So they are not figuring out the impact of patents. So coming back to the research which I was doing. So just to give you a glimpse of what I was doing, like in 2011 we started doing the simulations. And by 2014 I had multiple prototypes built out of Tata Nano, which could drive by itself. And in 2017, we did so much of road shows. Even with Kerala Police, we did a road show in 2018 where the newspapers were reporting saying that the DGP was kidnapped in a driverless car, or some news which was coming in. But 2020 was really a turning point for me, because I was closely watching the economic challenges faced by companies because of shortage of human labor. One of those one of those industries which had mostly hit was the shipping industry, the seaports industry. Another was the mining industry. So all these industries can be captured or can be helped with the help of driverless or automation systems. So in 2020, I even had just before COVID hit, we started building on these systems on bigger vehicles like BMWs. I bought an Innova, which could be fitted with drive-by-wire systems and driverless systems, which could actually go. So all these things was actually an eye-opener for me. So I have been doing this research on driverless systems for over 10 years, and in 2020 all these economic downfalls are happening. And I figured out that I kind of like, we could read from the data, we could read from the news, we could read from the reports. There are so many reports out there, which would help us to understand that there is some sort of an autonomy everybody would require. There is some sort of a dependency so that the business would run. There's some sort of an autonomy which you can convince customers so that they can actually work on some sort of on systems or technologies which could be utilized for customers and companies, which could reduce their operational cost. So this is something which we did, and in 2021 I quit from TCS. I went to Hyderabad. I got some support in Hyderabad so that I started a company. But after some time we figured out that in Hyderabad what happens is like the development is so rapid that I have to, like, one day we see a land which is free. The next week we can see that all the basement and all these things coming. After 2 months we can see that a whole structure is there. So that is the major challenge which I couldn't say. And during that time I got an invitation from InfoParks, and before that it was Kerala Police was a great support for me on running these kinds of research and all, which on a very small scale. So then we started visiting InfoPark, and then I came back to Kochi in 2022. And then we started, checking out Kerala Startup Mission, and found that they have a great support. And also, InfoParks Limited even gave more support by giving us a test track, a 6-kilometer long test track where I can test my systems. And like nobody is so sure that what we are trying to do. And I registered the company in 2021. Even during that time itself, I started getting projects. I bootstrapped the company with the projects money itself. I started catering for customers who is actually aspiring to build automotive systems, automotive and ADAS systems. I already have enough IPs and APIs and exposable codes and hardware which can be utilized. So I started with customer projects only. So this is the whole point. So the whole thing is like you have to understand what is the customer pain point. It's okay, like this happens when you write research papers as well. When you write research papers and then when you get how many of you have written a research paper and submitted to a peer-reviewed journal? Some of you, right? Yeah, so you know the comments. The comments are so, it will hit directly to your heart. It will be like, you will understand like what exactly the pain problem is, like how people can actually, how they review it. And thereby we have to take it up and then we have to modify the research and make it a better research paper and then send it again. Same thing with patents. You feel that there is some idea, oh, this idea is so unique, I feel that this is amazing, so I should go patent it. And when you do the patent, when you either go to an attorney or go do a patent searching, what happens is like you have found that there's someone else who have the exact same invention which you are talking about, which you had in mind. What you have to do is like you have to build over it. You have to keep that as a reference and then you have to build over that invention and tell them that there is some sort of a modification which is required in this kind of invention with which my invention can be. So you can also file a patent. So just like that, when you talk to customers, you have certain stringent things which you have to do, which the customer wouldn't accept the deliveries without the quality of the delivery or quality of the systems which is coming in. So I was being in a corporate, I had this kind of an experience and I always reviewed, I always wanted to have a customer review or come back to me with a comment or a change or a new requirement or any of those things. It's a difficult, it's a beautiful process. It's a difficult process. It's a very beautiful process which you have to go through, and thereby like we started creating so much of spin-outs of all these kinds of technologies, and thereby the RoshAI was born. So we are basically a B2B startup which focuses on driverless systems, which focuses on autonomous vehicle software platform. We sell these platform as a SaaS platform. We also sell it as a complete product to multiple companies. I'm currently the vendor for like multiple companies, including some German luxury. I cannot tell the names, but luxury I can just drop a stone or maybe tell it start with them. So I'm supplying for them. I'm supplying for major car companies in India. I'm supplying all these technologies which is built around driverless technology, which is required today. I'm supplying driverless systems for seaports. I'm supplying it for airports. I'm supplying it for mining applications, because everybody is in need of it. So it's an inevitable kind of a tech which everyone would be aspiring to have. But today it is a bit expensive, but going on it will become cheaper. And that is what I'm providing. Today with all these research, with all these experience, I'm providing this much. And we have a mission of like revolutionizing the overall mobility with the help of autonomous systems. And our vision is that the whole the driverless tech will become inevitable. It will become much more useful for people to be approachable. And the latest generation, if you see that the today's teens or today's children, they don't want to drive. They don't want to own a car. Like today's youngsters, they are more happy by hiring an Uber than owning a car, specifically in major metro cities. This is something which is required in the future. This is inevitable in the future, and that is what we are trying to cater on. And our aim is to, as a company, as RoshAI's aim is to license the autonomy software. We have a vehicle agnostic drive-by-wire system which converts any vehicle, any human drivable vehicle to a driverless system. So this is being required maybe not in India, but in all around the world. This is required as a mandate, as something which they want to aspire. And in Info Park, it's just like around like 5-7 kilometers from here, I have my prototypes which we are running and testing on a day-to-day basis. I have my team here who is actually helping with me with the testing. So today the whole thing has changed. So what we are trying to do, like we have an autonomy operating system which can be adopted to any type of vehicle. Let it be SUV, MUV, trucks, buses, or sedans. We have each and every prototype. I have my prototypes being tested in different test tracks in India right now. I have few prototypes in here. I'm sending my vehicle to be tested for different applications. So we created multiple applications for it. So then we have a self-driving network as a service, which is actually a completely inclusive kind of as a SaaS platform, with which we sell the software and so we sell the hardware, which can be utilized for customers, which can be quickly reutilized for multiple applications. And we also have a concept called data-first approach. Some customers would be coming to us saying that they want an accuracy of 5 centimeters, which means if their vehicle is going from here, it should come back here, closing the loop, and the error rate should be not more than plus or minus 5 centimeters. We have systems for that. Some customers would be asking us and telling us that they want to have an ADAS system, an advanced driver assistance system, with which they need to see whether there is a vehicle coming on the left side or the right side, or maybe a vehicle is jumping between the lanes or anything. They don't need that much of sensor or that much of accuracy information. They need a binary information, yes or no, whether there's a vehicle or no vehicle. So we have a concept called data-first approach, where we completely customize it for our customers. And thereby we have a lot of spin out of the products with which the customers can have a complete freedom on the products which they are working on the solutions which they are working on the technologies which they are working on. Most of the customers which I'm working on, they are developing their future product, and we are the partner to them to help them with the future product. And we have a segment agnostic system where we would be. Currently we are catering the automotive and OEM seaports and airports. We are expanding it to multiple areas where the need for driver or the social status of driver is being changed. So right now the driver has to be, like you heard the recent issue of a driver went missing, and there are some news coming up today as well. So in all these cases, there are so many, the fatalities because of a driver is there in the equation can be reduced. And we are also coming up with the concept called a remote driver. We are deploying it in one of the countries in the Middle East, where one driver can control at least 5 cars. We are expanding it to 50. There will be, and these 50 cars would be driving by itself, but it will come back to the remote driver only when there's a challenge or there is a traffic issue. Just like when we call a call center, the person on the other side would be telling us, okay, let me connect you to my manager. He knows more about this. So just like that, the cars would be connecting back to the remote driver, and the driver would be taking the vehicle out from a congested traffic situation. So all these things are based on machine learning. We train it with every single day. We train it with new scenarios. Some days I hire auto rickshaws in multiple numbers. I hire 50 auto rickshaws right in my track. I tell them to drive the way they want, and we capture the data with our sensory systems and all. So the whole point is about identifying opportunities. How to, like, you have a solution, you built a solution, you have been working on such a solution, and you need to see like how to identify, how to fit it with the customer's pain problem. So that makes a difference when you are running a startup. So if you're just monotonously developing some sort of a solution and keep on improving it, that doesn't make any sense. You have to tie it with the customer problem, then only you will be able to scale. And you have seen like there are so many requirements for the technology which is developed in India. One of the things which you develop in India, the amount of diversity which you have in India. If you go to different states, the road markings, the road signs, the kind of culture, the language, everything changes. And the whole thing can be, today you have the power of AI which you can utilize and which you can do it. And identifying the opportunity and how to solve a customer specific problem is one of the major things which we should be focusing on to identify or to see more. And when you talk to the next customer, you'll be telling about this problem which you face with another customer, which keeps them interested. And they will be coming and say, I have one problem. I want to read specific numbers or lines maybe on a container, which is there, which is vertical or which is horizontal. I want to read it. Do you have a technology for that? So I already have a technology for I use it for something else. So I'm just telling you an example. But just like that, we have been building all these things. And today I have much more advanced prototypes which is built out of advanced vehicles, and these are some of the prototypes which I can actually show, and there are so many other proto vehicles which we have built, which is being tested and which is being evaluated in different certification authorities and all. So this is the video where we taken one of my prototypes to the ICAT test track in Gurgaon for a test and certification. And we also had a Government of India funded program called Dada Show, which we took to last year. And this is something which we use for the remote checking, and we train our system with a huge amount of data which is being collected normally. So the advantage of running such a research from a tier 2 city is so immense. When people ask me, and everybody is developing driverless cars in Silicon Valley. If you go to Silicon Valley and probably like Santa Clara or somewhere, if you stand beside the road, you can see at least 3 or 4 prototypes in around 30 minutes. But the challenge there is, the major problem there is running such a research over there costs a lot of money. So here I'm hiring 50 auto rickshaws, which would cost around 2,500 rupees per hour. And if I hire them for the whole day, it wouldn't cost more than like 15,000 rupees for a day. But if I buy a simulator license where I'm simulating the auto rickshaws and the resource costing and all those things would go up to crores. And I can create all these kinds of chaotic situations. I can recreate all these situations, or the whole thing is about training an AI. What we have on the vehicle is like a set of series of sensors and systems which could read and understand the environment and understand like how systems would work, how technologies would work. And we'll be capturing the whole data. And we had so much of funny instances. Like there was one time when we were testing this vehicle in near Hosur, in an interior road inside Hosur. And there was this tea shop over there, and this guy, the tea shop vendor, was throwing a banana stick. He was making some banana bhaji or something. And then he was throwing the stick with all the, without, like they have this method of peeling the bananas out without taking off the whole banana, right? So he was throwing it from one side of the road to the other. And from our sensors, we could see that it's something which is flying from one, like we capture the data, the process is like we capture the data, then we curate the data, we do the, annotation of the data. And we found that in the video and the sensors, it shows something which is bigger than a dog, bigger than a bird, which is flying from one side of the road to the other. We have to characterize it. We have to tell the system that this is something which you see on an Indian road. But we couldn't figure out. Then we went back to the place, and then we figured out that this could be the thing which we found. And in India, when we go to metro cities, you can even see beggars coming in all these makeshift, platforms. They have all these a wooden platform with a ball bearing as the wheels. I think you would have seen, like it is there in mostly, if you can see in Hyderabad, you can see in Hyderabad and Bangalore. India is kind of a place where you can actually have a system, if you have a methodology to capture all these kinds of unique use cases, you can create something which is really robust. You can create something which is really unique, and you can show it to the world. So my tagline is, if it is working in India, it's going to work anywhere in the world. And that's how we started with a minimum viable product, how we are creating a minimum viable system, how we are improving the product. So what we did, like even today, I'm one of the largest suppliers to other startups which are focusing on driverless systems as well. I've come out with certain unique ways of innovation in drive-by-wire systems where they can directly adopt it. So other startups can focus on the software. So like most of the startups here, I have said so many hardware startups are there. Tuning a robotic system is one of the most difficult part. We have solved that issue, and we have been selling these drive-by-wire systems to other startups in India and all around the world. And we have been selling the software snippets to other parts of the world. And how do you capture the whole data, and how can you create an iterative development, and how do you improve the whole thing? That's what we have been doing, and we have been helping other startups so that the whole ecosystem thrives. That I'm actually supporting the whole ecosystem where other startups can also get benefits out of it. And one of the major things which I'm so happy to share here is the the experience driverless car event, which we conducted last year. This is one of the most beautiful event, I would say, which we did. So in 2022, we came back to Kochi. We set up our office. We started building the prototypes in a very quick succession. I had a couple of very demanding customers, and we had to work like 24/7, 7 days a week. Like, it was really tough. And then to celebrate, I had to celebrate. Like, my team were like so tired, and the fatigue was like, I could see that the frustration was too high, but the customer was too demanding about so many things. And then we had this 1 year of operations, and the whole thing which is actually coming in. So we collaborated with an NGO called Center for Empowerment and Enrichment, which focuses on skills development for children with special needs. So what we did is, like, and these children would always require someone else's help for their mobility to their day-to-day kind of activities. So what we did is, like, we selected few of the students with the help of the CEFE, Center for Empowerment and Enrichment team. And all these children would need someone else's help for their mobility and all. And one of the finest thing is, like, this thing is the happiness which you see on their faces. Improve the morale of my team. Seeing the happiness on their faces to figuring out that software can improve, or these systems or the technologies which we are building can improve the mobility of these children. How can we how these systems and tech would help them? We actually showed the whole thing on one of my prototypes, which is built over a Honda City, where the vehicle would drive by itself. This is on our test track inside Info Park, where the happiness on the face, it was like priceless. So it helped my team. Like, even though we had a very rough year in the previous year because of project deliveries and strict timelines and all, this helped us to see that there is a light, and there is a tunnel where there is a light in the end of the tunnel. There is somebody who is going to get benefited out of it. And there are so many other such things which we did. And one of the major things is the ADAS show, which we did last year, where there were so many government entities, government officials who came there. We took one of our prototypes, which is built over a Toyota Innova, to Delhi, to Gurgaon, where we tested it on the test track. And it was like, it is too unexpected when companies like Volvo or companies like Honda all are showing their simple rudimentary ADAS system. I am there as an Indian startup, showing technology which you can see only in Silicon Valley, right in India, and I am also a supplier for most of the major German OEMs or Indian OEMs, where I am supplying this technology, and I had Homraj Sorabji, who is one of the celebrated auto journalists, sit on my prototype vehicle and evaluate my prototype vehicle, and it was like he was also like very happy to see how the whole thing is working, and he also created a complete video based on the whole thing. So this is something. This is how we approach the problem, how we scaled up the problem, and what you see is just the tip of the iceberg. My product line is like really huge. I'm supplying for some major AI deployment, factory automation deployment, based on the spin-outs of what we have built, what we have learned from the overall thing. And the last 2 years, I've never even raised the money. This month only, I closed my first seed round. And before that, I was running. The whole thing was being driven with completely on my revenues. So initially I started doing it on customer focus only. I don't want to develop anything which is random, like I've been doing it during my time when I was employed in TCS. But now I came out of TCS, and then I started generating the revenue. And right now I'm deploying it in multiple countries, multiple industries, multiple countries where we are doing it. So the whole point is about the inspiration and the motivation. So some days are really tough. So as founders, that some days, like it goes like I don't know what type of wave it would be. Like some days you'll be spiking with happiness. Some days you will be going down and you'll be so low. And the best part is, like, you take a break, go to the toilet, cry your lungs out, and then you come back, and then you start working again. Or you just take a break. I'm just telling. So this is kind of an emotional roller coaster everybody is going through. And some days, like the customer would be like yelling at us about the delivery. The customer would not be happy, or some orders which we have been longing for to get would be taken by some competitor. So all these challenges would come. So the whole thing is about persistence. How can you stay back and work back and win the trust with the customer, or find a new customer, or find a new partner, or engage with a new partner who can actually help you with the whole thing. Or there are even challenges when you talk to investors. The investors are not even, they don't even follow the level of deep tech which you are talking about. How many of you have seen, I think, how many Malayalis are there? All are Malayalis? How many of you don't know Malayalam? Okay, so there is a movie called Neram in Malayalam where the central character played by Nivin Pauly, who is an actor here, approached a gunda who is actually a big gangster who also has 2 software companies. And he was asking, and Nivin Pauly, the character played by Nivin Pauly, already given resumes to this software companies owned by this gangster. And somehow they met in one of those scenes, and he was asking that, sir, I gave my resume to your company. So the gangster asked, what all technologies, what all you know? Sir, I know C, C++, Python, HTML and all. So the gangster asked him back, do you know how to write CD? So then Nivin Pauly replied, I know how to write DVD also. Like you're a smart guy. You come and join me. So the same thing which I felt when I talk to investors. I'm talking about all these heavy learning and systems which I developed with the Indian data set, which is unique, which I am supplying for other companies. I'm developing a self-driving technology which works in India. I'm not showing that it's a concept. It works in India. I'm showing the demo. I'm showing everything. And then they will ask me, there is a company which can pick nuts and bolts. Very big business, $1 billion business. Why can't you think in that line? So I'm talking about algorithms, I'm talking about self-driving technology, and this is the same thing which they don't expect it. Most of the funding agencies, or most of the VCs, they won't expect such a deep tech technology coming from a tier 2 city. Even in South America, in the Latin America, they're like, I'm kind of a celebrity over there, like when I go there back then. And now RoshAI is, like the company has been captured, and the news has started coming out. But though we try to work in a very modest and not so, we don't do too much of videos and all those things. And this is about my story. This is how I build. We do have an Instagram page where we upload our videos regularly, and where we show the whole point which most of the founders here, the whole point which I want to tell you is focus on a customer, focus on a small market, focus on something which is really small, and try to solve a problem. So when you talk to a customer, when you talk to the pain problems, to their pain problems, what you are getting is a bit of knowledge on the actual problem which is on the ground. That is what you need to see. Like back in 2015, my friend and long-term friend and colleague, ex-colleague from TCS, Kurian, he knows that in 2015, when I was known as the man who kickstarted India's driverless car revolution, I went to Japan to meet customers in Nissan, and like so many customers we met there. And they were asking how much time it would take for the system to boot up. So back then, I used a flavor of Linux called Lubuntu. It's a stripped-down version of Ubuntu without a UI, which can boot in like 3 seconds, 2.58 seconds or something. So we are telling about they were not very happy. And today I have a Thar, one of my vehicles. And when I start the vehicle and then I put the reverse gear, the camera would take around a minute to pop up on my screen. So, and then they were arguing me, like, your driverless car is taking more than 5 seconds to boot up. What are you talking about? So these things would always happen. There will be people who would be condemning you about the whole thing or the efforts which you are bringing, but don't get low because of that. There would be guys who would require exactly what you are building. You as a founder or you as a team member, your duty is to figure out where exactly a customer would need this. And you have to verticalize the whole problem, and every vertical should create its own set of revenues. And this is how I built it. Thank you. I'm open for questions.
So currently we have like plug and play solutions from NVIDIA Drive and all. So how we can fill the gap between the Drive OS, and how we can build the technology that fills the gap between the Drive OS and our solution, which is built in India.
So the whole point is all about training the whole thing with Indian data set. Even if you see right now, Waymo or Tesla's doesn't have a solution which is on for cluttered kind of traffic. That is what we are trying to solve. And how are you solving it? We are solving it with the help of extensive training. So how are you training it?
Is simulated type of training is better, or a real-time training is better?
I would go with the real-time. I am more happy with the real-time thing. So on one side, I have a full training data set training system, which is on the other side, I have a remote driver also. So there, it's not really possible. So if you have noticed, like I'm actually building a GPT for driving, right? A pre-trained system for driving. So I always prefer to have a real world data when you have a slow speed kind of a traffic. For high speed traffic, for large highway traffic and all, what we actually have is simulations are there. But for certain specific industrial use cases or industry use cases, what I am trying to solve, I would prefer to have a real data set which needs to be trained.
What is the max speed and the effective rain that you have observed?
So we have been testing it on 70 to 80 kilometers per hour in our track. Rains, all these things, like we have a multi-sensor kind of an approach where we have lidars, radars, cameras, everything together. So we take a fused approach. So it doesn't make much sense on lidars. What we really worry about is sandstorm, because I am deploying it in Middle East. So there they have sandstorms, which I don't have a data set. So I think I'll have another crying time when the Arab guys come and yell at me saying that it doesn't work in a sandstorm. So that is something which we are trying to recreate. And then snow. I don't have a data set, right? So these are some of the challenges because I'm not there yet, which would be solvable. And when you rain and snow is not just the problem. The window of the sensors getting all these debris, and then there's a small drizzling coming in, and that it becomes a mud and it blocks out the whole vision. That is the challenge which I'm facing right now. Yeah, rain it will work, yes. Right now we are coming out with a system of this size, around this size. With an external bigger 90Ah lithium polymer battery pack. But for trucks and all, we have a much, I think you had seen in one of the scenes in the video, what we have fitted in Inno, which directly go to the trucks. So trucks have a different kind of an architecture which uses hydraulic power steering and all. But the normal vehicles, cars have electronic power steering, which helps us to electronically talk to these motors and all, which can make it turn and all. So to answer your question, we have two versions of it. We have a small version which you can actually put it in this size, but a bigger elaborate version which goes onto the truck.
First is Tesla is one of the major player in this domain, right?
Correct.
So if you compare your system with the Tesla in terms of capabilities, how these systems differ?
Because the reason being the business thing is totally different. I am mostly into heavy vehicle closed kind of an environment autonomy. They are into mass market consumer autonomy, and Tesla is not having specifically a completely autonomous system. They have a advanced adaptive cruise control, if I understood it well, and they use radars and cameras. I use radars and cameras, which is it's a debatable kind of a topic. So my use case, the environment where I use it is different. I'm not going to use it on a city kind of a condition. I'm using it on a confined space like a seaport or an airport or a mining place where we have a separate set of challenges. I'm focusing on that challenges, not on I'm a B2B startup. I'm not a B2C startup.
Thank you. And
second
second question is, so you have a lot of sensors and those kind of radars
Yes.
on top of
Yes,
the
yes.
roof, right? I have
That's
seen that. So how it is affecting the aesthetics and aerodynamics of the vehicle? Because you have to hide it somewhere when you, exposed to an environment which is real life.
So I have my industrial designer who is also a photographer here. So he's actually taking it. But what we are focusing is on mostly on like we work on specific set of vehicles like Toyota Camrys, Honda. We have few vehicles. So what we do mainly is to go with the design philosophy of the vehicle itself. So it wouldn't stick out. It wouldn't be ugly. And the dynamics doesn't matter much because we are driving a maximum speed of 80 km/h, which you are limiting. For our customer space, it is mostly like 20 to 30 km/h. They're not allowing more than that. So we do our testing. We haven't seen any challenges, but on our customer space, the maximum speed allowed is around 30 km/h, where the wind dynamics and all that doesn't come to picture because the speed is really low.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You tried the off-road or the real Indian roads like തോട് പോലെയുള്ള റോഡ് അതുപോലത്തെ റോഡിൽ കൂടെയൊക്കെ ട്രൈ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്
ട്രൈ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ജീപ്പ് കോമ്പസ് വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള പ്രോട്ടോടൈപ്പ് വെച്ച് ഞങ്ങൾ അതാ ചെയ്യും. ബാക്കി ജീപ്പ് കോമ്പസ് ബേസിക്കലി SUV പ്രോട്ടോടൈപ്സ് ഉണ്ട് എനിക്ക്. ഇവിടെ ഇൻഫോ പാർക്കിൽ തന്നെ ഉണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങൾ അത് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഓഫ് റോഡ് ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ്. ഓഫ് റോഡ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു വൺ ഓഫ് ദ ഏരിയാസ് വിച്ച് ഐ വർക്ക് ഓൺ.
ഡ്രൈവർ ജോബ് പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് ഇല്ലാതാവുന്ന സാർ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? എത്ര കാലം കൊണ്ട്
അത് പോവും. ഡ്രൈവർ ജോബ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ലൈക്ക് I would put it in a different way. We are improving the social status of driver. We are making one driver sit in a remote space where he can control maybe 50 vehicles. So moving ahead, what happens in the future? What happens is like you will see ports and cars without drivers, but there is a remote person who is capable of taking control of the vehicle. So he doesn't have to be on the vehicle. He only needs to be on the vehicle if there's a need. So it is just like the technology is like I'm the person who gave a representation to our Chief Minister CM Pinarayi Vijayan to start a ministry for AI in 2018, long before ChatGPT has come in. So since ChatGPT came in, you know how many jobs has been gone because of ChatGPT. When you go to any major IT giants like Wipro, TCS, Infosys, last year's deal was X amount. This year deal is 0.75x because the customer is telling you to use ChatGPT. Just like that, the technology will eat up jobs. It is inevitable. So it is based on the technology, have breakfast or be breakfast. So you have to improve your skill set. What you said is right. It is inevitable. Right? It is going to be like you can see like even the cars available in India. Like if you take the XUV 700 or the Safari, the Tata Safari has ADAS systems, has cruise control and adaptive cruise control where it can drive. It can do a minimal set of self-driving. So it will go. The succession will come. There will be more startups coming in this area, which could pull out this whole driver job or the hazardous job and all. It happens. Nothing you can do about it. And the OpenCV data set which you get back then didn't have auto rickshaws. It didn't have the JCB excavators. It had only the sedans which are available, which is seen in the Western world. So it was difficult. But we still tried to crack some of the problems. And, it was more of a research thing. But now it's much more easier to do it. The only thing, how can you streamline? How can you... I'm supplying for one of the major Tata Group companies on these driver full systems on autonomous systems. For them, it is like much more easy because the data which you get is much more richer and the technologies know that how the auto rickshaw look like, how the auto rickshaw would turn. So yes, it was different, it was difficult, and there were no open source thing. And what we considered was the whole thing was a large mobile robot. It was a large mobile robot. That's what we did. So even now, the whole thing is on the edge. So the GPT is on the edge. It's not on the cloud. So what we are trying to do is like we are, training it with the data which is there, which would, a piece of it which would go on the edge itself, on the vehicle itself. So that is how we are building it. So in the initial stage, what I need to do is I need to get money here. I need to run the whole show. I need to give salaries. So you will do everything which is around this industry to do it. And then you will figure out that whether this vertical is making money. If that vertical is not making money as per the targets, you merge it with another vertical or kill the vertical, right? So I wouldn't go with such a notion saying that, but if you are skilled enough, if you have, like I'm personally doing, I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm personally doing it because I've done that as professionally in my previous career, previous company, or when I was in TCS or in LG. I have done that before. That is the whole point. കസ്റ്റമറിൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് വന്നിട്ട് 5 സെൻറ്റിമീറ്റർ ആക്യുറസി വേണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ റെഡി സർ, ഞാനിവിടെ എലോൺ മസ്ക് ഒന്നുമല്ല, ഞാൻ സാധാരണക്കാരനാണ്. ഞാൻ പറയും ലെറ്റ്സ് ഗോ വിത്ത് ലീഡർ. നോട്ട് ടു മേക്ക് ഫൺ ഓഫ് യു വാട്ട് യു ആസ്ക്ഡ്. ഐ കനോട്ട് മേക്ക് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്സ് ലൈക്ക് എലോൺ മസ്ക്. ഫോർ മീ വാട്ട് ദ കസ്റ്റമർ needs is my problem statement. But I need to specifically ensure that the KPIs the customer is asking is done. For like obviously the customer who is coming and asking for a simple ADAS system wouldn't be spending that much money. The customer who is asking for more would be giving more money to get that set of features. So that is what. So I personally wouldn't agree with what he is saying. Maybe he has huge billions of dollars of investment on running this whole show. They have a whole team. They have like so much of resources. They have deep pockets. So with them, they can say that. And right now, they are even experimenting with the solid-state lidars, something which doesn't have a moving part inside the typical lidar. But if you ask me, I would suggest to go with, at this point of time, lidars, and then go with solid-state lidars, which would give much more. So for the software side, it would be much more easier for us to do the implementation. For me, and I'm doing it for professional applications. I'm not doing it for consumer applications. I'm doing it for real professional applications and field applications where you have to have the accuracy. You have to have the KPI. I cannot go and stand in front of my seaport customer saying that, okay, my lidar didn't work, or the concept of radar and camera didn't work, and the truck drove directly to the sea. I cannot say that, right? So there are certain challenges. I understand what you said, but I wouldn't recommend it.
You told that you train the cars in the roads and all, like normal traffic scenarios that you see.
Correct.
But you deliver for customers in mining, in seaport, airport, such situations also, right? So have you customized your training data for that?
Yeah, the challenges are minimal. So on a typical day, we train it on all the chaotic systems which you find in India. But on a customer space, we don't have that much of challenges. So what it means, I have a much more robust solution which would adapt to the customer's actual problems. If I train it only for the customer space, then the new challenge will come there and my system would break, right? So that's how I see it. Like you have a long enough system for the whole thing, and then you are doing it.
But in such scenarios, there won't be just driving. There will be like other applications, like taking some loads, carrying it, deploying it somewhere. Like that,
so
right?
those goes with the vertical. Those goes with the specific implementation there only. For me, I'm making the vehicle go from point A to B to C, then directly coming back to A, or going back to B. So that can be done. And what the advantage there is, like for my customer space, I don't see auto rickshaws taking a U-turn just abruptly, or maybe cattle jumping in front of the vehicle. That's already there. That is already been taken care. And the speed is also being taken care. I train it for 80 km per hour. I train it to be driven up to 80 km per hour. But on a customer space, it's just 20 km per hour. Like, it's almost like crawling. You can run in that speed, right? So it means that I can do much more efficient, better methods of doing it. This was the initial philosophy of how we did it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. During the evolution time? No. In none of the cars have drive-by-wire as such. So we create the whole IP. And right now I even sell the drive-by-wire systems to other startups who is thriving in this domain, so that they can also come out with solutions.
Use the drive-by-wire system, right?
Yeah, so
That
almost
can be
all the
used
new generation cars, if you see, let's not go to Volkswagen, let's go to the Mahindra XCV700. I do have a prototype based on it. So for that one itself, the whole thing is a drive-by-wire only, but it's not exposed.
It's not exposed.
It's not exposed. It's a security system. You cannot, there was this, I think you would have seen that, I think Jeep, some vehicle or something, somebody hacked it from remote and they can control the steering. So it's so, they're giving it so much of importance to do the security. So what we are doing is, I'm not hacking into the vehicle, I'm not tampering into the warranty of the vehicle. So when I work with Middle East customers, they are giving us brand new Camrys. So I cannot go and tamper the warranty of the vehicle.
But if it was somehow hacked, it could ease development, right?
It's not hacking. It's an augmenting way of converting the vehicle to drive-by itself. That's how our drive-by systems work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. It's actually a commendable work that you have done. So first of all, it's a very commendable work that you have done.
Thank you very much.
And you have, I think you have done a very good job in capturing the Indian data set, I guess. And I would like to ask, which one, is there any particular prime market vertical that you are focusing on?
Multiple verticals I do have. Mining applications is one of those verticals which I'm doing. I do have seaport as a vertical, airports as a vertical, and currently I do have major customers in India only. Even now, when I'm getting lots of calls from the customer itself. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand a specific small customer and trying to figure out what exactly is their problem. So once when I solve the problem, I have a case study, I have a white paper from them. So that helps me to use it as a door opener for the rest of the world, rest of the industry, rest of the similar type of customers. And that is the type of method which I've been doing it for probably over 10 years right now, where we solve a small problem, and then we approach another customer saying that, I have solved this problem for another customer. What do you think about this? Then the customer would come back to me, I have solved the problem. I have a much more bigger problem than this. Then we start augmenting on that side. I put the whole team who is working on that. I'll put some major team players onto this project, and then I start expanding. That's how we scale up.
Okay. Do you have any plans to release one of your vehicle as autonomous vehicle or as a product?
As of now, no. I don't have any plans because I'm mostly right now into B2B, where I'm supporting my customers, who is basically automotive companies, allied industries and all, where I supply them. As of now, no. I don't think it's a bit bigger kind of a thing. I would like to focus on those problem statements and the software. I would like to be the software supplier. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
what is the max speed and the effect of rain that you have observed?
We have been testing it on 70 to 80 kilometers per hour in our track. Rains, all these things we have a multi-sensor kind of an approach where we have lidars, radars, cameras, everything together. So we take a fused approach. So it doesn't make much sense on lidars. What we really worry about is sandstorm, because I am deploying it in Middle East. So there they have sandstorms, which I don't have a data set. So I think I'll have another crying time when the Arab guys come and yell at me saying that it doesn't work in a sandstorm. So that is something which we are trying to recreate. And then snow. I don't have a data set, right? So these are some of the challenges because I'm not there yet, which would be solvable. And when you rain and snow is not just the problem. The window of the sensors getting all these debris, and then there's a small drizzling coming in, and that it becomes a mud and it blocks out the whole vision. That is the challenge which I'm facing right now. Yeah, rain it will work, yes. Lidars, radars, cameras, and all, we fuse it together, and then we create the data. So that is one of the approaches which we are actually doing right now. It's not even benchmarkable. It's that question doesn't have significance, because we are much more bigger, better organisms than any of those self-driving systems. See, we can drive the vehicle with the vibrations. We can drive a manual transmission vehicle just by even the engine is so smooth itself, we can understand the vibration which is coming in the steering to see that and understand whether the vehicle is going to, the engine is going to die or not. Die in the sense like stop or not. And then we apply the accelerator and the clutch in tandem so that the engine still live. Yeah, half clutch or whatever it is, right? So we are much more capable systems, but on a driving scale, we can actually make the other system smarter. So that is what we are trying to achieve. All right. It will enhance, it will improve the capability. And I would say that we should be doing bigger things, so better creative things than driving, even though I enjoy driving. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Good evening. On behalf of Kerala Startup Mission and TiE Kerala, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Roshy John. So Roshy shared his experience, his journey with Rosh.ai, what we can achieve through his hard work and innovation. I think we all can inspire a lot from Roshy's journey for the technology and innovation, exactly. So once again, thanks to all participants who gathered here on behalf of KSM and TiE Kerala. Thank you, Roshy. Thank you for your appreciation.
Oh.
So now I invite Mr. Roy Kurian, charter member of TiE Kerala, to handing over a official.
I'm from TiE Kerala, Roy Kurian. Just want to thank you very much for the good talk. One question which I had in mind when I came here was, a lot of people, a lot of big guys, Elon Musk and all those people are doing this. So when they come to India, we are a smaller company and they will sooner or later come. So then what will happen? Will you get sold out or will you, I don't know, how will you compete? This question I had in mind, but the answer also I got from your talk. That is, you are making something very customized for the Indian condition, which they cannot replicate. So that is fantastic.